Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you part 10 of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is the Scheepjes Crochet Along 2018 and I'll be using stone washed and river washed XL yarn in this video because I'll be using the large kit to make my blanket. In part 10 we'll be extending the border that we've already been starting with. We're going to be adding lots of beautiful colored details to our border. Take you step by step through all of these rounds. I hope it's a useful video for you and thank you for watching. Round 14 of the border. Currently in that first standing stitch, I'm going to move with a slip stitch to the chain corner space. The corner is a treble, chain 1 and a treble. So that means we're going to start with a chain 4. So the first chain 3 counts as a treble, and then chain 1 plus another treble to make the first corner. So I'm just going to move my stitch marker up. I'm going to take it with me to mark my corner. On the straight edge, in the first treble here, well this is actually a double treble, work a treble in there. So in that first stitch work a treble. And this first stitch is going to be surprisingly easy to forget because you're going to get into the flow of working in the chain spaces. So remember this first stitch. We're now going to do small repeats. We're going to work 3 trebles in all the chain 2 spaces, and in the chain 1 spaces we're going to work a treble on each and a chain 1 in between to skip that stitch. Let me show you. 3 trebles in the chain 2 space. 1, 2, 3 trebles. Then in the chain 1 space, the next chain 1 space, so you're going to skip all these trebles themselves. You're only going to be working in chain spaces. To be a treble, then chain 1. So now you're going to skip this stitch. I believe that was a double crochet actually, and then in this space work treble. This you're going to repeat 21 more times, so 22 times in total. That'll bring you just about to the other corner. Remember here that chain 1 space, insanely easy to forget. I'll show you the repeat again. The chain 2 space, work 3 trebles. That's 1, 2, 3 trebles in the chain 1 space. Let's move things a bit. Work a treble, chain 1, and then in the next chain 1 space work another treble. Now I've done the repeat twice, and I'm going to do it 20 more times, and then I'll just see you here on the equivalent of that side at the other corner. I'll just show you the last bits and to go around the corner. So do this, so there's 3 trebles, treble, chain 1, treble. Do that 20 more times. Almost to the corner. So here's the next corner. I've done the repeat 22 times, so this is the last repeat you see here. So there's 3 trebles in the chain 2 space, 1 treble in the chain 1 space, chain 1, and a treble in that second chain 1 space. All went right, you've got 1 chain 2 space left. In this last space work 3 trebles. So 1, 2, 3 trebles. The next up is the corner, but first on this stitch here work a treble. So on that very last stitch work a treble. Because you'll notice that you might get in a flow of working in these chain spaces and then you end up forgetting that treble. So this treble, remember the treble, and of course also those chain 1 spaces, also easy to forget. Then in the corner here work a new corner. It's going to be a treble, chain 1 and a treble. I'm going to move my stitch marker up to the next corner. You don't have to if you don't want to. And that's my new corner. And now we're ready to start all the same again. So on the first stitch work a treble, then 3 trebles in a chain space, in a chain 2 space, 1 treble, chain 1 to skip that stitch, and then another treble in that second chain 1 space. Go all the way around and we get to the first stitch. That'll be the third chain, the chain 3 of that starting chain 4, close with a slip stitch. Round 15 of the border, currently in that third chain there with the slip stitch. I'm just going to slip into the chain space. Now I can start the corner. Corner is a half treble, chain 1 and a half treble. So the half treble, the first one is a chain 2 plus 1 more chain, so that gives you a chain 3, and then a half treble in the same space. And that's in your corner. So I'm just going to move the stitch marker up. So that's the corner, half treble, chain 1 and a half treble. On the straight edge, we're going to skip the first stitch. That's this one. I'm going to skip that. Then go to the next and work a half treble. And that's the first of 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There you go. So you've got 5 half trebles, so skipping that first stitch, 5 half trebles, and then you're at the chain space, this is chain 1 space, also work a half treble in there. And this you're going to be repeating until you're almost to the other side. On the next 5 stitches you work a half treble, and then in the chain space you work 1 half treble. So on these next 5 stitches, a half treble on each, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're at the chain space and you work a half treble in there. Repeat this almost until you're to the other side, to the next corner. So I'll see you if you're going to work 5 half trebles and then in the chain 1 space a half treble, etc., until you're to that last chain 1 space. I'll see you there when you've worked that last half treble. I'm almost to the next corner. See here, I've worked those 5 half trebles and then in the chain space another half treble. And at this point you should have 6 stitches left before your chain corner space. In those last 6 stitches you're going to work a half treble on each. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that last stitch number 6. Those 6 half trebles. Now you're onto the chain corner space, so that means a half treble, chain 1, that chain 1 is your new corner, and another half treble. Let's move my stitch marker to my new corner. You can do this also if you want to, but you don't have to. Then that's the new corner. And now you're ready to repeat everything you've just done. So you're going to skip the first stitch, then work 5 half trebles in the chain space, work a half treble, then again 5 half trebles, next chain space, work a half treble, go all the way around. Remember always you'll have 6 stitches before the corner and 5 stitches after the corner, because you're going to be skipping that first stitch. When you get to your all the way around, when you get to the beginning, you'll have the chain 3, then close on the second chain with the slip stitch. You can also cut your yarn because we're using a new color in the next round. Round 16 of the border, I have contrast color 4 on my hook with a slip knot. I'm going to start in any corner stitch. I've got my stitch marker there in that chain corner space. I'm going to start in there with a standing double crochet. So the cord is going to be a double crochet, chain 2 and a double crochet. The first one is a standing stitch, standing double, chain 2, and that chain 2 is my new corner, so I'm just going to hook my stitch marker over that chain 2, and then complete the corner by working another double in that same space. So that's the corner, double, chain 2 and a double crochet. For the straight edge, I'm going to skip the very first stitch. That's that little stitch that's also kind of being covered there by the corner, so we're going to skip that stitch and immediately go to the second, and that will be the start of a repeat unit. So we're going to work 7 double crochets and then work a small shell, and that we're going to do something like 11 times. Going to skip this first stitch and then in the second work a double, and that's the first of 7. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets. Going to skip the next 2 stitches, so those 2, going to skip that, and in the stitch after, going to work 5 trebles as a small shell. So skip those 2, and then here in that third stitch, going to work 5 trebles. And that's going to give us a nice little half circle. 2, 3, 4, and 5 trebles. Then again skipping the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, go to the third and work a double, and this double crochet is actually the start of the next repeat unit. So this double is exactly the same as this very first double we worked there. So this stretch from the double up until the 5 trebles here and skipping the 2 stitches, that you're going to work 11 times in total, so you need to do 10 more. I'll show you the repeat once more. Just before I do so, I'd just like to show you exactly in which stitch this shell falls, and it'll fall in the same stitch every time. If you look here, you'll see here you've got these 3 trebles that we worked into a chain space. I believe that was a chain 2 space if I recall correctly. Then this third of those 3 trebles, if you look at the half double that's in there, sorry, the half treble that's in there, you'll see that's where you've got your 5 trebles. So the 5 trebles are in the half treble that's in the last treble of those 3. That means we're going to do the repeat unit again. So we're going to work 7 doubles. That means we're going to be skipping this little group of 3, but we'll go to this group of 3. You see here there's the third treble, then there's the half treble that's in that, and that's also the stitch in which our next shell like this will fall. So that's just a checkpoint for you. It's always when you're working these 5 trebles, just see that you're still in that, if you come down, if you're in that third stitch there. Because if you're not, you've either worked, I don't know, you've worked 8 doubles for example, then it'll all move up 1, or you've worked 6, or you didn't skip 2 stitches but you skipped 1. And, you know, there are many things that you could accidentally do here that'll make your stitch count off. So just use this as a marker, as a checkpoint. Every shell, just quickly double check, then you catch your mistakes early. I'm going to show you the repeat one more time. So this here was the first double, and that one is the first double of 7, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 doubles. Then we need to skip 2 stitches, so that's 1, 2 skip, and then the third stitch work 5 trebles. And just double check, is that's yes, that's in that stitch, that's in that stitch, so you see you're still lined up. That's 1, and then this is 2, 3, 4, 5 trebles, skip 1, 2 stitches, then come to the third and then this double is again the same as that double. So I don't know, did I say skip 2 trebles? These are of course half trebles, but skip 2 stitches and then work that double, which is the same as this double. So this piece, going to do that I believe 9 more times. Then I'll see you at the end when you're almost to the corner. You'll have just finished this shell, and I'll see you at that point. I've just done the repeat 11 times, and there are now 9 stitches left till the corner. Those first 2 are actually still part of the repeat. So if you're very technical, you say, no, okay, there are 7 stitches left. It kind of depends on how you look at it. But it's 7 plus 2. You're going to skip those 2 stitches because they're still part of the repeat, and then on those last 7 stitches you work a double crochet on each. So 7 doubles to the end. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last one here is 7. The chain space, going to work a new corner, so that's a double, chain 2, you move the stitch marker if you want to, and then work another double in the chain corner space. And that's a new corner, and this corner is exactly the same as the corner we started with. That means you're going to skip that first stitch and then work 7 doubles, skip 2, and then work this little shell the same as here. Go all the way around, and at the end you'll work your last shell, skip 2 stitches, work those last 7 double crochets, and then close on the corner. That's the first double. You'll close on that with a slip stitch. You can cut your yarn because next round is a new color. Round 17 of the border. I have contrast colored 2 on my hook with a slip stitch, a slip knot. I'm going to start with this color in any corner space, any chain 2 corner space. Start with a standing double treble. That's twice over. Hold on to your yarn, and in this corner space make a standing stitch. I'm going to remove the stitch marker at this point. I'm actually not going to use it again in this round because our corner is not going to consist of 2 stitches as it has up till now, but actually of 5 stitches with chains in between. So this is the first stitch, and then chain 1 and another double treble. Now you have 2 double trebles. You want 5 double trebles, so we're going to do this 4 times in total. So we've just done once. Chain 1, another double treble. Now I've got 3. Chain 1. Now you've got 4. Chain 1. And now you've got 5. This entire thing is your corner, so it's not just one space. This entire shell here is your corner. So you've got the double treble, chain 1, double, chain 1, double, chain 1, double, chain 1, double. So you've got 5 double trebles and 4 chain 1s in between. For the straight edge, we're going to skip the first 3 stitches and then start with a double crochet in the 4th, and that double crochet will be the first stitch of our repeat unit. So skipping these 3 stitches, the first one is really hidden by your shell, so that's 1, 2, 3 stitches skip, and go to stitch number 4 and work a double crochet. And that double crochet is the start of our repeat unit. So that double crochet, then in the next we work a double, chain 3 and a double. Double, chain 3, 2, 3, and another double in the same space. So that gives you a bit of a loop there. In the next stitch work another double. That's nice and symmetrical. You have 2 stitches left before we get to the small shell. I'm going to skip those 2 stitches, and then here on the shell I'm going to work in the first stitch 2 trebles, in the second stitch 2 trebles, in the third stitch 2 double trebles, chain 1 and 2 double trebles. So you're going to have 4 big stitches in that center one, then in the fourth one again 2 trebles, and in the last one again 2 trebles to make a symmetric pattern on the shell. So that's what we're doing. Skip those 2 stitches and then come to the shell, and that's 1, 2 trebles on the first, on the second 2 trebles, the third stitch a double treble, actually you need 2, so 2 double trebles, chain 1, and again 2 double trebles in the same stitch. So that stitch is going to be very full. Just kind of push all your stitches in there, the one after the other. On the last 2 stitches work 2 trebles in each. So twice over. Oh, sorry, it's once over. That's 1 treble, second treble, and the last stitch again 2 trebles. So 1, 2. So that gives you a bit of a triangular shape there. I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches, those first 2 doubles, and then in the third stitch work a double crochet. And that double crochet is exactly the same as this first one here. So up until that, up until there, so including the skip 2 stitches part, that's your repeat unit. You're going to do this 10 more times. You want to do 11 times in total. I'll show you the repeat once more, and then I'll do a jump in the video. So skipping the 2, then that double crochet, that's the first stitch of the repeat. I just move things around a bit because my blanket is awfully big. In the next stitch, a double crochet, chain 3, it'll give you a nice little loop, and again a double crochet in the same stitch. In the next stitch, a double. So you're going to have these little things between your shells. You have 2 stitches left before the next shell. I'm going to skip those 2. And on the shell work 2 trebles in the first stitch. 1, 2. Work 2 trebles in the second stitch. 1, 2. In the third stitch, going to work 2 double trebles, chain 1 and 2 double trebles. It's 1 double treble, this is double treble number 2, chain 1, and again 2 more double trebles, it's 1, 2. So that's the corner stitch, or the corner stitch, the tip, the point. And on your last 2 stitches, 2 trebles in each. So 1, 2, and the last one. 1, 2. Skip 2 stitches, those 2, and the third stitch work a double, and that double is of course again the same as that double there. So I've now done the repeat twice with you, well, plus 1 stitch. Going to work this 9 more times. You want 11 of these. So you're going to work on all your little shells, and then I'm going to do a jump in the video, and then after you've worked those last 2 trebles in that last little shell, I'll see you there just for this last bit, the last stretch and the next corner. Almost to the end here. I've just done this this last shell, and now I'm going to skip 2 stitches and then work the last bits of this edge. Skipping those 2 stitches is actually still part of the repeat unit. So 1, 2, and then here work a double, and you're going to work another little group like this. So that's a double, then on the next again a double, chain 3, and a double in the same stitch, and then on your last, or the next stitch I should say, you make the last double crochet. If all went right, you have 3 stitches left before the corner. Going to skip those 3 stitches, then in the chain corner space we work again that big corner, so that's 5 double trebles with chain 1s in between. So twice over, and in that space work a double treble, chain 1, so it's 1 double treble. I'm actually going to remove the stitch marker. I'm going to leave it out for this round. Next round we'll be placing markers again. And this is 2, chain 1, this is 3, chain 1, this is 4, chain 1, and the last one here, 5. And that is your corner made. So there's 5 double trebles with the chain 1s in between. This corner is the same as the corner we started with. That means here on the next edge you can start your repeat again. So you're going to skip the first 3 stitches, and then in the 4th work a double. I'm just going to work that stitch. That's 1, 2, 3 skip, and then work a double. And that is of course the start of your repeat unit. Go all the way around. So work another double, chain 3, double, double, work the shell, etc., etc. After you've worked this last stitch here, you'll have worked that double crochet. Close on the standing double treble with a slip stitch. That'll be the equivalent of this stitch. So you'll be skipping those last 3 stitches, then close there with a slip stitch. You can also cut your yarn, because the next round is a new color. Round 18. For round 18 we're going to use contrast color 6. That's the color I have on my hook here. And we're going to start on any little shell. You've got the shell of those double trebles. On the first double treble we're going to start with a back post double crochet. So around that first stitch, work a back post double crochet, standing one in this case. Chain 1. On the next stitch again a back post double crochet, chain 1, back post double crochet, chain 1, the second last one back post double, chain 1, and here on the this last double treble, back post double crochet. It turns your stitches forward, so you get a nice little edge there. You'll notice it does wobble just a little bit, and this round will wobble a little bit, so don't stress about that. Everything will be fine. We're going to do a chain 2, and then we're starting a repeat. 2. Chain 2. Let me just explain to you what we're going to do before we actually do the repeat. To start the repeat, we're going to skip this stitch here, the first double crochet. We're going to skip that. And then around these 2 doubles, we're going to work a back post double, and then we'll be skipping that stitch again with a chain 1. But to work the back post double around these 2 stitches. Now, a back post double, you might very easily find yourself doing this. This is not correct because you're working through the top of the stitches. You need to work around the post of the stitches. Now, if you pull this up and really force your work open, you'll see there's a little loop there. That loop, you also need to get under that loop. Same on this side, there's also a little loop there. So on so after the stitch, so this is the top of the next stitch, but below here there's also a loop. If I can just get you to see it there, that's the loop. I've also got a little knot in that loop actually. So when I do the back post double, it's important to get under that loop as well. You see there's a loop. So now under all the loops, and then on this side again underneath also that loop. So this is the way you're going to be doing the back post double crochet. Now of course with the yarn, so let me just pick up my yarn. So to start the repeat, we're skipping the first stitch here and then go underneath that first double crochet that's in the middle, and then come out on this side again underneath all those loops. Grab your yarn and bring everything back, and now you can complete the double crochet as normal. And then you see you've really worked around the post of both of those double crochets. I'll show you again. I will do the repeat once more and then I'll show this to you again. Chain 1, skipping this double crochet on the triangle. You've got 6 stitches, work a double crochet on each. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. You're now in the chain 1 space. In the chain 1 space, work a half treble, chain 1, and a half treble. So half treble, chain 1, and a half treble. So that's a new little point there. Then we come down and work again a double on the 6 stitches of the triangle. That first one here, be sure to also grab that one, the first one. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here is number 6. Chain 1. And now you've done the entire repeat. So starting from skipping that first stitch there up until this chain 1, that's the repeat that we've done once. We're now going to do 10 more times. I'll show you once more. I'm just going to rotate my work a little bit because this blanket is insanely large at this point. If you have the XL kit, yours will be too, I'm sure. The next repeat, we're going to skip this double crochet, then around these 2 center double crochets we work again a back post double, then we do a chain 1 to skip this this last double. So you're going to have a chain 1 on either side to skip those 2 doubles. So again here, not through the top of the loop, top of the stitch, but really go underneath all of those loops. Show you again. No, that's actually too deep. See, I've now pushed in there. That's too deep. You don't want to go that far. But there's that little loop. You see. And then on this side, again, not through the top of the stitch. So this would be incorrect. Really try to scoop out exactly where is that third loop. And sometimes you just have to push your hook in there. See, there's that third little loop. So getting underneath all your loops. See, they are all of them. And then bring everything back and then complete the double crochet. So you're making this nice and snug, making this little tip push really up and making it more pronounced. Chain 1. Remember these chain 1s. I think these are again easy to forget, because you're so busy with this back post double that you kind of end up forgetting the chain 1. Coming up here on the triangle, so we're going to skip that stitch. Then on the triangle work a double crochet on the 6 stitches, so 1 on each stitch here. So 1, 2, this is 3, 4, 5, 6. The chain space, half treble, chain 1, half treble. This triangle is nice and easy. The back that back post double, that's a tricky one. And then come down and work a double on each of these 6 stitches. So remember also the first one. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chain 1. Now I've done the repeat twice with you, so there's one and this one. You need to do 9 more, and that's a point where I'll see you back. So then you'll be on the equivalent on the next corner. You'll be on this, where is it here? On that last triangle, and you'll have done the chain 1. Then I'll just see you for the last bit and the new corner. Almost to the shell. Here's the next shell. I've now done all of those repeats. I've done them 11 times. Chain 1, that's still part of the repeat. Need to work a back post double around these last 2 stitches, and then we work the shell. So chain 1, let's just skip that stitch. Then again work a back post double around this last one. Here, be sure to get all of those loops. You see I've got there all of them. Then on this side again, sometimes it just helps you just kind of poke your hook in there, and you see, okay, right now you've got the hook, that loop. Grab your yarn, pull everything to the back, and then complete the double. There you go. Now, to work the shell, chain 2. 1, 2. It's easy to remember. When you before and after the shell, you have a chain 2. At all other places it's a chain 1. So important here, chain 2. Now I'm going to work a back post double on all of these double trebles with chain 1s in between. So around the first one, back post double, chain 1, 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 last one here, back post double. There you go. And this stitch is the same stitch as on the last shell, so that means we're going to start the repeat unit again for the next edge. That means a chain 2, 1, 2. So you see on either side of the shell you have a chain 2. Skip that this first double and work a back post double around those 2 exactly the same way as here. Chain 1, then skipping that stitch, come up, work the doubles, the chain space, work the half trebles, etc., etc., and go all the way around. Then when you get to your first stitch, you're going to do this last back post double, chain 2. They're going to close on this stitch, the equivalent of this stitch, so this standing back post double crochet that we made right at the beginning. Close there with a slip stitch. Then you can also cut your yarn, but you're not quite finished yet because we need to place a few stitch markers before this round is completely finished. When you've gone all the way around, we've done all the crochet bits of this round, you still need to place 4 stitch markers on each corner. So the corner is made up of these shells. You've got those back post single crochets there at the back. We're going to be placing 2 stitch markers on either side of the corner. So I'm going to start on this side. You've got the back post, double crochets, and then you have a chain 2 space. So after that chain 2 space, you've got this back post, double again, and then there's a chain 1 space. In that chain 1 space, put a marker. So this is the first chain 1 space after the chain 2 there. Then I'm going to skip the next stitch, that's this one. I'm going to skip that, then move one on and place a marker. Those 2 stitches you've just marked. We're now going to do the same on this side. So we're going to actually be doing the symmetrical. So here you've got the chain 2, and there's that chain 1 space. Again, put a marker in there. I'm going to count, well, basically count backwards. So then that stitch you're going to skip, then counting backwards, that second last stitch there. I'm going to put a marker in there. These 4 stitches I've now marked on this one corner. You're going to do this on the other 5 corners also. So you're going to be marking 24 stitches in total, so 4 per each corner. You can use the stitch markers that you got in your kit. They'll be very useful for this. Go all the way around, and you've marked all of these stitches. You've finished part 10 already of Ubuntu.